Hi, good morning. I see that there's a few people watching. First of all, I'd like to give a shout out this morning to my brother Jonathan Narby over at MindMeld, who pointed out that I haven't been very easy to hear on my computer without a microphone, so I'm trying to microphone out. So, Afaf, are you able to hear me? Okay. I'll wait for your response to make sure this is working. I see I've got somebody from Stockholm. Well, I hope that you can hear me clearly, as this is something new to use a microphone, but I hope it works well. The reason that I logged in this morning and thought that this might be useful is because this morning, as I do every morning, I wake up and I see what's in the news. And this morning I did receive something from the American Academy of Pediatrics. I received an email, which you may have received as well, called the AAP Daily Briefing. And the title of the lead article was COVID-19 in Pregnant Women Does Present Some Risk to Expecting Mothers, Infants, Researchers Say. When you take that link, what you find is it takes you to an article on MedPage Today. Thank you. I just got a notice that you can hear me loud and clear. Perfect. And the link is actually to something that's actually quite important, which is a case report that I did see over the weekend out of, I believe, New Zealand. And this was sorry, this is in Switzerland. My apologies, not New Zealand. And it was a case report of a woman at 19 weeks who presented with COVID-19 and went on to she presented with COVID-19 with somewhat mild symptoms, and then went on 2 days later, 48 hours later, she went into labor and delivered a baby at 19 weeks. The placenta tested positive for COVID-19, whereas nothing else, I believe, tested positive. But the fact that it tested positive suggested that it's possible for someone to experience a spontaneous abortion with COVID-19. This, I think needs to be taken in context, and the context is that second trimester infections do not necessarily imply that this translates into third trimester infections. I mentioned in a broadcast over the weekend that it appears that there are some case reports now of possible vertical transmission, and when we look at those case reports, they are fraught with some concerns. So we're not entirely sure that the vertical transmission occurs, and in fact, I would still tend to argue that I think it's probably only if it does occur in those who are the sickest of those out there. So then you get a case report like this, and it does raise the question, could this be evidence of vertical transmission? But I wanted to stress that I think that what goes on in the second trimester may be different than the third trimester. So for those of you who get the AAP briefings, don't jump to the conclusion that this is yet another proof positive that we have a case of vertical transmission. Now, when you look at other evidence, I think it's important to recognize that there was just a large case series published in New England Journal of Medicine looking at 118 women and their outcomes. And when you look at the 118 women who carried through, some interesting things happen. I mean, you notice that 92% of those had a mild disease in pregnancy. So that doesn't mean they wound up out of those 116 having severe disease leading to miscarriage. In fact, when you look at those 116 women, there were 3 spontaneous abortions, 2 ectopic pregnancies, and 4 induced abortions. Interestingly, those last 4 were actually induced, not induced, but they were abortions due to maternal concerns over COVID-19 and what that could do to the fetus. So I suppose an important message here is let's not worry so much about what it could do to the fetus, because so far we don't really have much evidence that there is any concern to the fetus with this condition. The last thing to mention is, and I think it highlights something that I think others have asked about before in these video chats, which is why is there such a high cesarean section rate And when you look at this paper from out of Wuhan, they do mention that cesarean sections were performed in large part because of concerns about COVID-19. So there wasn't necessarily any evidence for doing them that way. It was just that 61% of the 118 women were actually delivered via cesarean section for that simple reason that families were concerned about, or practitioners were concerned about the ability of the mom to have a vaginal birth. So my conclusion from all of this, and what I wanted to get out today, because I hope it would be helpful, is I know that there are people who follow this blog or Facebook page because of a desire to stay on top of neonatal outcomes, but I also know that there's a lot of people here who work in the obstetrical field and also have an interest in pregnancy. And with that interest, news like this can really get around very quickly. So when you see the report, or whether it's the report out of JAMA itself, whether you read that showed that this spontaneous abortion happened at 19 weeks and placenta was positive, or you get the AAP daily briefing, it's important just to put that into context and realize these continue to be exceptionally rare. And as the 118 women that were reported out of Wuhan show, 92% of pregnancies have a favorable outcome. And since there are a few people online, are there any questions about any of this? Does this fit with what you understood, or have you seen concerns in your neck of the woods with other unreported cases? While I wait for that, the other thing that I would mention is I did put this out yesterday or the day before in a video post looking for cases of severe disease in which you believe that there was vertical transmission that has occurred. The working theory right now, at least my working theory, and shared by some others, is that when you do see some cases of vertical transmission in the literature, the ones that look to be the most potentially viable as cases of vertical transmission tend to occur in those who are the sickest. And so my theory, and certainly of some others, is that these women who have severe disease may have higher viral loads, and with higher viral loads, they may put these children at higher risk of vertical transmission if that occurs. Okay, well, since I don't see any questions coming, what I will say is thank you everyone for logging in. This video will be on my YouTube channel. I'll save it there. And if you do have any questions, you can certainly post questions after on the Facebook post. And I hope everyone stays safe. And it is great to see that we are seeing declining. It is great that we are seeing declining rates seemingly in many parts of the world of COVID-19. But just as a PSA, if you will, it's important that we continue to be vigilant, practice our social distancing, because I don't believe this is over, but hopefully things have turned. And I just wanted to mention that AFAF we have seen a woman in severe disease who gave birth at 28 weeks with DIC, and unfortunately both were dead. So certainly that would be in keeping, AFAF, with what we are seeing in this case report, that those with significant disease may transmit to their newborn or preterm infant. So thank you for that, and I'd like to say thank you to those from seemingly all over the world who have tuned in for this, and I will have updates coming soon with CPS statements, which are going to be undergoing a few modifications. So that may be of interest to you. So that'll be in the coming days, I believe. And I'm planning on doing another one-on-one interview, if I can arrange it, with an American neonatologist. And so we'll look forward to seeing that too soon. And hope you continue to enjoy these. And take care for now. Bye-bye.